Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, Hare and Forbes Machinery House, and Pace Farm. Like to see a car show that's been organised by a guy that's never done one before? Well, you're about to on this week's episode of Classic Restos. Classic vehicle fraternities, they come together in times of crisis. They always have, and today is no exception. Meet Kevin Bailey, a knockabout type of bloke with a heart larger than life, born and bred in the Oakdale, New South Wales area, and in this case, his niece is in trouble. Carlie Bailey was diagnosed, at time of filming, around 3 months ago with some personal problems that may not only cost her being able to have children, but her life. At just 24 years of age, Carlie was a hard-working individual, and now her related family have stepped in to help out a bit. Organising a car show before? Never. But Kevin Bailey drives trucks for Gunlake in Manaro, New South Wales. And we all know how strong the trucking fraternity is. In fact, Gunlake are the major sponsors of this event. Today it's about getting behind Carlie, trying to help her out with her ongoing treatment. And to her Uncle Kevin and associated family, this means the world.
G'day, I'm Kevin Bailey and welcome to my show at Oakdale, all for a good charity run for my goddaughter Carlie, who's going through some difficulties. I've never done a car show before, so I don't think someone that's got too much to worry about. We're just here to raise a few dollars to hopefully keep her going, ongoing with bills and whatnot that comes in. I'm blessed to have Fletch here today. It's been fantastic. And all I'm hoping on is punters to turn up with their beautiful cars and buy some charity stuff and eat and be merry and just really enjoy the day. And I'm blown away with so far who's turned up. So all I can do is just hope a few more turn up and we just have a great day and everyone gets home safely tonight. And I can look back at this and be very proud. And Carlie's got a GoFundMe page, so if anyone would like to donate something later on, that'd be fantastic and much appreciated. And I've got many sponsors and I'm blown away with a lot of sponsors that have put their hand up and just no questions, just, yeah mate, I want to donate money. I've been with Gunlake for 5 years and they've been a fantastic company and the boss has come across with donations and whatnot and he's given me 100% backing. So no, I'm very blessed. I've been in the transport industry for 32 years and I work for some really good mobs. And, and I've even got my old company TRN that I work for. They're here supplying vehicles and help me out with a lot of things as well. So thank you everyone from the bottom of my heart that's come to this show today, because without you guys, I couldn't do it. I've got an old Holden that I've brought, my old FJ Holden that I've got, and I'm very privileged and lucky through hard work that I've got a Harley as well, and spoilt by my beautiful wife who's here today helping out, and without her I couldn't do it. So I've got a lot of mates turning up with Harleys. The Falcon, Tony, he's bringing a heap of his mates out as well, so I'm looking forward to welcoming all them. So no, we're going to have a wide variety of cars here, Fletchy, and I just hope that we can do a good show, and I hope you don't giggle, mate, when you drive out and think, what the hell did I get myself into? Classic cars mean to me, well, I've grown up around them, I love them. I've got a 54 FJ Holden that doesn't handle and doesn't stop, but geez, it gives me a lot of pleasure when I get in it and drive. I've always been admirers of a lot of guys when I grew up in the 80s that all had beautiful old Holdens and EHs and whatnot, and Fords. I'm a Mopar fan. I love all old cars and I just love to be in the fraternity, and it's just a great thing to do. And it's a great thing to get out with the family and kids and have a good day and enjoy yourself. I'm wearing a Komatsu hat specifically because they've donated the money to go to food to feed 400 to 500 people if I've got to. So they've been unbelievable with their donations and support and backing. And I've been blessed for my first show. I've just been really, really blessed and honoured. So thank you very much. Sponsors know who they are, and from the bottom of my heart and my wife's heart, thank you very much.
Moving through our 2019 car show for Carlie. How you doing, Rene?
I'm very well, Fletch. Thank you for being here today.
My pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. I love what's on the paddock here. There's such an array of different cars. I like to hone in on this model Cortina. It's a bit of a favourite shape for me, the Sporty Corti 1966. This model comes with so much history, particularly racing accolades as well.
And still today, throughout the world, they're on podiums in the historic racing. They're still very popular, and yeah, I love it.
They're a cool shape. I like their lines. They've got a nice amount of stainless steel on them. I like the rear style shaping in these Cortinas. And of course, when we think of racing, we go back to the days of Harry Firth and similar.
Yes, Harry Firth, Alan Moffat, even Craig Lowndes all began in a Mark I Cortina. Yeah, still very popular out in the mountain. They take the historic cars out for a lap before the Bathurst, and yeah, they're just one of those cars.
Good power to weight ratio too, Rene. What's the weight on your rego paper?
On the rego paper, I think is 785 kilos, and we can shave a bit more off that, or add a bit as you go travelling around. But yeah, they're very good. They handle fantastic, but very unforgiving. And just ultra reliable. It's just always there. If something does go wrong, it's on the side of the road with 3 spanners, and you can do everything.
Well, I know with the old Holden was 9/16 and ½ inch.
½ inch and 5/8 and a Phillips head screwdriver, and that's it.
Isn't that beautiful? Now, talking of the condition of the car, it looks lovely sitting here. I love what you've done with the interior. Matches very nicely with the car. But what about the history? How did it look once upon a time before you got it?
Oh, it was very sad. It was found in a demolition site on the Sunshine Coast. The rust was right through it. Yeah, the fuel tank was laying on the ground. The sills were gone. But the fellow who owned it before me started the body restoration. He was an old school panel beater and hand stitched everything in, and at the time, it was almost going to be crushed a second time because they couldn't find a boot floor. They found one on the 11th hour, and yeah, rescued.
It was going to be crushed on the 12th hour.
Yes, it was well on its way. It was definitely going to, just be done with. But it's a genuine GT, and we thought, yep, it's worth saving.
Now, engine and driveline, which way did you go there, Rene?
Well, the original engine, the 1500 engine, was, I suspect, lost decades ago. It's now got the later model crossflow motor in it. That being as it is, it's the only thing that's not original on the car, and it just makes it that much better. It goes a lot better. Parts are a little bit easier to get. I have a close ratio gearbox in it, which certainly helps it along. And yeah, it's just built for driving. That's all I do is drive it.
Thanks for coming out to Oakdale. Quite not a long way, but west of Sydney. It's a little bit of a distance. It hasn't worried all these people here today. Nothing wrong with a little bit of distance, Rene. Been a pleasure catching up with you, buddy.
Been a pleasure, mate, Fletch, and I'd like to see you around with some more.
Good on you.
Show.
Thank you, mate. Ta.
Bye-bye.
Are you a motoring enthusiast? Does your current insurer understand your passion? At Shannons, we're motoring enthusiasts, just like you. We understand the passion you have for your special car or bike. But did you know that Shannons will also insure your daily drive, the car you drive every day? So if you're a motoring enthusiast, you've got to be with Shannons. So call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Heron Forbes Machinery House has been family owned and operated for over 85 years, and it's easy to see why. Planning on welding? Look at these welding tables and clamps, air compressors and different air tools. sandblasting cabinets, through to spray guns. Everyone is welcome at Machinery House. There are competitive freight rates around Australia, and you can buy online at machineryhouse.com.au. So remember, Hare and Forbes has the range. Moving on through as we do, how cool is this? This is time for the girl power part of today's show. How you doing, Kayla?
Good, thanks, Fletch. How are you?
Wonderful. Look at you in this 1966 Mustang. What's going on?
Oh, well, I've always had a love for cars, especially Mustangs, since I was pretty little. And yeah, so me and my dad decided we'd put one together.
What's the colour?
It's candy apple red.
Kayla, I have to ask you, what may be your age?
I'm 20.
How cool is that? See, this is it. This is the classic car fraternity on the way through the next generation. You say you go back to when you're a little girl. What does this car mean to you, Kayla?
Oh, it's memories, like putting it together, yeah, getting into the automotive trade as a girl and just, yeah, mainly just making memories with my dad and, yeah, just a hobby.
What do you do for your job through the week?
I work at Sydney Mustang Parts. I sell Mustang parts, yeah.
She's got it made, hasn't she? You sell Mustang parts. You've got a 66.
Mustang, yeah.
That is so cool. Now, with the restoration and the time that you spent with your dad, was it difficult? Like, was the body good to start with?
It was, yeah. We got it as a rolling shell. It's pretty good and clean. Yeah, just putting it back together. Yeah, you got to have to do a bit of a conversion because it's right-hand drive. This one, yeah.
And tell us about the interior. What did you do there?
That we had to fully restore the interior. Yeah, new trim. Yeah.
And under the hood, what's happening?
That's just got a little 6-cylinder in at the moment, so I can drive it. Nothing too fancy, but yeah, I don't have too much longer now till I've got my full license. So yeah.
Okay, so are you going to do what everyone did back in the 70s, 80s and 90s? That's yank the 6 out and drop the 8 in?
Of course, yeah.
How cool is that, though? I think that's lovely. You've got the 6-cylinder car, which is still no slouch. You've got a car that's not too heavy. It's got class all day long. And I can see with the smile on your face what this means to you.
Yeah, it's pretty special, yeah.
Okay, now what about your words to up-and-coming enthusiasts, people out there similar to your own age that haven't got a classic car but would love one? Have you got any words of advice for them?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, just keep looking. Like, you don't need to buy anything too special. Like, yeah, you can get some pretty nice, cheap cars out there and just take your time, put them back together. I think that's the funnest part is putting them together, yeah.
All right, Kayla, again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, you too, Fletch.
And of course, if you own a classic, it just has to be insured with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. And keep in mind too, there are over 330 episodes of Classic Restos awaiting you on the Shannons Club, along with a whole heap of other really cool stuff for you to browse through. For more information, go and visit shannons.com.au. Moving through, time for a 73 HQ. How you doing, Al?
I'm very good, Fletch. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you.
Al, this red HQ turned up here this morning and it took my eye. Beautiful, straight, original-looking car. What's the deal?
Well, it took me a long time to get it, 9 years, and now I've had it for nearly 20. So you can't slap the smile off my face.
Complete with your little bit of insulation wrapped around your fuel line there just to keep temperature down, just a little bit of attention to detail there. An honest-looking car, not many left.
I know, mate. There's too many out there on the HQ racing circuit. They're having fun with them out there too.
Now, you've done a couple of little things. You've got some insulation under the bonnet that you've installed. You've recently just put a shroud on the car. Little things like that, little enhancements. Obviously, HQ as well being the first year of 4-coil suspension, so drives nice.
It does now. It never used to, but used to be a bit of a lunge around a little bit till I got the suspension done, but everything's all sweet now.
It's amazing the amount of classic car owners that accept their old car to wallow about and move around on the road. It's amazing the difference when you replace upper and lower control arm bushers, put some shock absorbers in the cars, a good set of tyres, maybe look at the drag link, pitman arm, ball joints. Just look at your suspension and you can just get them driving so nice.
And that's exactly what I've done. This car has had that done. So a few years ago now, but it's all been done.
Interesting with the dashboards of the 73 with the HQs. So many configurations. That's the first time I've actually seen the oil and temp together in that cluster.
Yeah, it is. And I've just noticed a couple of other cars around here you don't have that at all. So yeah, for this one it's a little bit different for sure.
These are the cars that everybody wants. These are the cars everybody thinks about, like how many are left sitting in barns or garages or behind houses with covers over them, wherever you might find them. But this is the original example stuff, isn't it?
It is, mate. It hasn't been touched at all, other than having it resprayed and the engine done, but everything's as per it was when it came out.
Okay, 2 questions. When did you get it and when did you have it painted?
Well, I picked it up in 2000 and had it painted in 2013.
Yeah, right.
So, 40-year birthday.
How nice is that? Not a silly question. The original paint colour, did you?
It is the original colour, yeah, Salamanca red.
Yeah, right.
I only found that out when I had it painted, so.
Yeah. It's nice to see the little 253 there, complete with its 2-barrel carb. They're never a powerhouse, but hey, they had the note. It's an original fitment to the car, which I really appreciate that.
That's how I like it myself, yeah. Everyone's personal choice is what they do with their car, but my personal choice is just original. So.
The interior is good as well. What's the go with the front seats?
They were original. I have not touched them, and being a T-bar as well, so as it is in the interior, I've never done anything with it. It's all original as I got it.
What you've got here, mate, is a little bit of history, and hang on to that, Al.
I will be, buddy. Don't you worry about it. All right. I'll sell the kids before I get rid of this car.
All right, cheers. Nice talking, mate.
You too, mate. Thank you very much, Fletch. Good on you. Thank you.
Like Dad, I've always been a Ford man. The Falcon Squire wagon was unloved in 1964, but turns heads today. The Americans call them Woodies, but the panelling, it's just fiberglass and plastic. But it's a passion that Shannons understands, which is why my Fords are insured with Shannons. And now, so's the home.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
In 2020, why not consider a Detroit tour with Fletch? Detroit, the automotive epicenter. It will leave you gobsmacked. Imagine experiencing where automotive history on a grand scale began. Stay in fine accommodation, taking in some of the best museums and private car collections on the planet. Book your 2020 Detroit tour with Fletch. Time now for a slightly modified 1968 HK Manaro. How you doing, Craig?
Good, thanks, Fletch.
Mate, love the black with the oxblood red interior. There's something about that, to me, that's a bit of a favourite. But besides that, I know that there's a bit of a story with this car. Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, this car was bought just down the road here, actually, only about 300 metres down the road. It was bought off a gentleman by the name of Wayne Harvey. He'd originally bought a blue HK 327, only had it for a very short amount of time, and it got stolen, and never to find the car again. So his idea was that he'd go out and buy this particular car and build it up and get the car up and running.
Car thefts back in the 80s with these classics. Well, they weren't so classic then. They were getting that way, but it was horrific. They were getting stolen every day of the week, weren't they?
Yeah, and he was shattered. I've heard some other stories that he used to do it to try to find this car, but unfortunately couldn't find it, and he picked this old girl up, and and the rest is history. He was a daily driver for a long time for them, and I seen it for sale one time. I worked down the road, and I picked it up in 1985 off him.
Wow, it's a long time to have a car, 1985, Craig. Now, what's the story of the gentleman's wife?
Her name was Di. She drove the car all the time as a daily driver, as I said. She'd go shopping in this car, pick up the groceries. I worked in the local butcher shop, and she'd park out the front, and she'd come in and get a meat, and then she'd drive home. And I always said to my dad, who I worked for, I said, I like that car. I'd like to buy one of them cars one day. And next thing, she come in one day and had a for sale sign on it. And I had an old ute and I sold that and I purchased this car. So, and I drove it as a daily for a long, long time too. And then we moved away a little bit, so I put it in a shed. It was in the shed probably for, I don't know, 10, 12, a bit longer years. And then 6 years ago I decided to pull it out and give it a resto.
What I love about the resto that you have done, you've kept the interior pretty well stock. The grain and the upholstery, particularly the dashboard with that 140 mile an hour speedo. You've still got the original radio in the dash as well. So you've still kept some original parts of the car, which I think is magnificent. It really sets off this car when you look inside. It's beautiful. Now, speaking of specs up under the hood, which way did you go with the engine, and what have you done with that, Craig?
Yeah, that's a 383 stroker. It's got most of the good stuff in it.
Bit of a neck snapper?
Yeah, AP, I think it's APM that Narellan built the engine for me. We've had it on the dyno, it's a bit over 500. But yeah, it's good and, you know, it does the job for me. It's pretty good.
Craig, thanks for turning up today. Car show for Carlie. Love what you've done with the HK. It's not overdone. It's a sensible custom. We always get back to that interior. I love that. Thanks for coming along, mate.
Not a problem. Thanks very much, Fletch. Good on you, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Time for a bike now on today's show. How you doing, Jake?
I'm good, Fletch. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. I love these Indians. I think they've really nailed it because Indian have that tradition. They've got brand new bikes with the old theme. Very cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's what drew it towards me. I didn't know much about them when I got my license. I did a bit of research, wanted something different because, you know, you don't want to just blend in. And I thought for a young guy having something that looks old school, I thought, well, that's a good combination. And yeah, I love it.
I love it too because Harleys have their niche. They've got their niche market, and certainly Indian have theirs as well. Very, very cool bikes indeed. Now, yours is a 2015 year model, correct?
Yeah, Indian vintage. Yep.
And yet 2015, yet taking on that sensational 1940s era look.
Yes. I often get asked when I'm out and about. People come up, like the older generation, they go, is that a restored bike, or how old is that? And you say to them, well, actually, it's only a couple of years old. They go, wow, like, that's beautiful.
Jake, looking at the bike aesthetically, it is huge. Yeah. It'd have to be all of, it's over 1,800, over 6 foot long. Yeah. The engine is massive. What are the cubes? What are we looking at there?
Just over 1,800 cc, yeah, so it's 111 cubic inch.
1.8 litre?
Yeah, between your legs.
Jeez, that's unbelievable. The torque must be phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They're not an acceleration machine, but the torque, they just keep pulling, and they're an exciting bike to ride, but very well balanced.
Jake, these are a lifestyle bike.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter what speed you were doing out on the street. Going down the road, one of these things just looks absolutely sensational all day long. Yeah. The panniers being a strong part of the features, lots and lots of chrome. The balance of the bike, tell us about that.
Oh, unbelievable, yeah. It weighs about 430 kilos without me on it, and sometimes I'm taking a passenger as well. When you're getting it up off the stand, yeah, you can definitely feel that weight, but as soon as you get moving, it is so well balanced. It's a pleasure to ride, yeah.
Sensational stuff, Jake. You're here with your wife as well. I bet the two of you make the most of getting out on that when you can.
Yes, yeah, we do, yeah, definitely. Even if it's just out for breakfast, out for lunch, or we'll go all day. But yeah, she loves it just as much as I do, which is an important part to involve the family.
That's what I love about these bikes, cars, trucks, whatever you're into, the lifestyle side of it.
Yeah.
like what Jake says, out to the breakfast, out to the lunch, out for dinner. It's so much a part of our lives. Jake, thanks for coming along with your wife today for such a good cause for Carlie. And as I said, mate, there's a row of Indians here. I picked on you. Aren't you a lucky guy?
Yes.
Well done, mate.
Thank you. Thanks, Fletch.
Well, I hope you've really enjoyed this week's episode of Classic Restos, the car show for Carlie. And if you're kind enough to make any donation whatsoever, look her up on social media. Carlie does have a GoFundMe page. As I say at the end of every episode of Classic Restos, no matter where you're watching the show from, until next week, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ClassicRestosTV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, Hare and Forbes Machinery House, and Pace Farm.